fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
I'm Jim Hutchinson with the New Jersey Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine. We are in the middle of January, and the best game in town at this point is still blackfish. Out again, blackfishing, this time out of Manasquan. We're aboard the Gambler. Now, Captain Bobby Bogan's running those Saturday and Wednesday long time trips, those 12-hour trips, 5 to 5. So we're scratching away at a couple here, but I'll tell you, the bite has not been fantastic, but we're working hard. Do want to talk to Bobby in a moment too to figure out how you can get on some of these wrecks and reef sites as well. But again, here along the Jersey Shore, Toggin has been the best action going for most of the boats that are running out, especially out of Shark River, Manasquan, all the way down into Cape May County. In fact, another back into the game, so to speak. We're real happy to see this, the Big Mohawk running out of Belmar again as of this week. Of course, right before New Year's, we had the tragic loss of Captain Chris Hewitt. So the good news is the Big Mohawk is also back on the Tog grounds as of this week. Captain Mike Artolino, you might recognize that name. He bought the Hunter from Captain Eddie Yates, moved the Hunter up to Sheepshead Bay. Well, Captain Mike has been running the boat, the Big Mohawk, this week, and they're definitely scratching away at some fish out of Shark River as well. What a great family we have, this entire fishing community. Captain Mike buys Eddie Yates' Hunter, moves it up to Long Island, but then he's in running out of Shark River. And of course, Captain Eddie Yates is now running the Susan Hudson out of Barnegat Light. No longer has the Hunter, and he's working with Captain Bobby Rush, a Starfish, and that crew as well. In fact, we talk about Starfish down there in Cape May County. We did have a pretty decent sized dog on the Cape May Lady this week. 23-pounder. That was earlier this week. Cape May Lady out of Wildwood down there in Cape May County. But that's a big fish. I believe that was caught by a man named Choi, and he's not showing his face, probably because a lot of these other guys who don't want to be on camera calling in sick today. The crew at Fisherman's Den says there are still a couple of tog, believe it or not, on the jetties, a couple of short ones in the canal as well. We did notice the water temperatures dropped significantly today. I think they're down in the low 40s. So if you can imagine being a few miles offshore today and the water temperatures are down, I would imagine that tog bite along the jetty or canal, you're really going to end up with some small fish, if anything at all. But again, farther south into Cape May County, Bob Safransky, he let me know that he had a tog on one of the Cape May County jetties earlier. I believe that was over the weekend or sometime last week. The weather, of course, phenomenal this week. Nice conditions. So if you can get yourself on one of those tog boats right now along the Jersey Shore, all the way down into Lewis and Indian River as well. Spoke to the folks at Lewis Harbor Marina. They said the Katydid will continue to fish until late January as well. And again, some of those reef sites down there in Delaware have been producing as well. Still a couple of stripers on the front beaches, believe it or not. Mostly small fish. Any of the fish that I've really heard of, guys are working at them. Maybe get one, mostly skunks. Did find out this week, however, that Manny D, he had sent me an Instagram post that he had his first keeper of 2021. He was fishing at Island Beach State Park, 28-incher, 12-pounder. I guess that is the first keeper of 2021. Mark that down. That's our first one of the year. For the most part, though, other than that, you know, we've talked about the fact that striped bass in the back bays in New Jersey rivers off limits January and February. We won't get that bite back again until March. Until then, the white perch has been keeping folks active. Talked to Dennis at Hook House Bait and Tackle in Toms River. He said the Toms River was loaded with perch. He said those fish seemed to turn off a little bit when we had some sudden water temperature drops, but I think once that normalizes, things should be a little bit better. Dennis said the night bite has been best there on the Toms River. Farther south, talked to Bob Neuweiler. He was paddling out in his kayak, pedaling out actually, on that Hobie. Shows they'll take jigs, they'll take rigs, they'll take those flashy spoons from time to time as well. Bloodworms or grass shrimp, those are your baits of choice if you want to get on them. I mentioned Dennis at the Hook House. He has the bloodworms that he's carrying. Dave at Absecon Bay, he'll get you squared away as well, and he's also got some killies as well. My man, my hardcore fishing buddy, Pedro Ildefonso. Fishes hard, rewarded with some nice perch down there right off of the Mullica. Good job, Pedro. Is always out there, doesn't matter how cold it is, getting it done. But again, we talked about the head boats. You've got the perch, you've got the freshwater options. You've got a couple of stripers out along the beach, but for the most part, the head boats are fishing along the Jersey Shore for tog, and some of the boats also are heading offshore. I think the big Jamaica is one, still heading offshore, getting on some of those porgies. Ling, I think Ralph on the last lady was talking about doing some cod as well. Again, same thing down into Lewis, Delaware, and Indian River Inlet. Tog is the best bet. I got a chance to sit down and talk in the wheelhouse with Captain Bob Bogan. You know, we've got all these artificial reef sites and all the reef books and everything, but what about getting out and finding your own snag? This is what Bobby said.
One good thing to do is if you get a couple sources that are close and not exact, that's usually a good sign that there's going to be something there. Now, if you got old Loran numbers, there's a trick. It's going to be kind of tough with your old Loran numbers to find spots, but there's something on a lot of the machines, and I don't know too much about the machines now, the ones that are coming out now, but the generation past had what's called Phantom Loran in it. Now, Phantom Loran will get you close, but it's not going to get you perfect because the old Loran towers sent out a curved signal, so it's just almost impossible to duplicate that with lat longe satellite imaging. So your numbers are going to be off. Like today we went, like you could put a deviation in. Like I have a machine that I could put, like, deviate the course a little bit, put a deviation in, and you can find that out by finding an old spot that you know you fished, and you put the deviation into your machine, and then you should be able to get close. The problem with that, though, is if you go a little further north or a little further south, those numbers are going to be off again, and you're going to have to do your deviation again. So what you could do is you could run like a figure-8 patterns. Like today we went out and looked for some old spots, some old numbers that I had, but I hadn't fished in maybe 20 or 30 years. But we were able to find it by just running a pattern, like a figure-8s around the pattern. And a couple of them we found were like 0.05 distance away, 0.05 miles away from the numbers that I had. But we did find them. And 0.05 doesn't sound like a lot, but it can be a lot when you're looking around. Also, you don't want to try to find these things when it's rough or choppy. And you know, the smaller your boat, the harder it's going to be to look at your fish finder and try to coordinate it with your plotter or whatever at the same time. So try to pick your days and go out when it's nice out. And if you can get out during the middle of the week when there's not a million boats out there, that's even better.
So since I stepped away from some of the freshwater action that's been keeping me busy the last couple of weeks, getting back on the salt, I figured I'd throw the whole Sweetwater update over to my friend George, the Pocono Outdoors guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. You know, I stopped down the local lake here to see what kind of ice was building up here so I could probably get out and do a little ice fishing. And guess what I saw? Nothing but blue sky and open water. Was actually thinking about taking the boat out and maybe jigging up some stripers, but I think I'll wait a few weeks for that. But a couple of guys are finding some ice. You have to go up kind of north to those northern counties and those higher elevations, those shallower lakes and ponds. You know, they're going to ice up first. Down here in the southern Poconos, those really deep lakes, that's a lot of water to cool down. They're going to take a while to ice over, so be sure you be safe. Now, good friend John Augustine, he was up in the Toby Hanna area, and he managed to find a couple inches of good safe ice and got into a couple nice bass. Drill a couple holes, set a few flags, a couple of bass in the afternoon. It's not a bad way to spend the day. Good work there, John. Now, I also want to talk about last week you were touching on the trout and how the Jersey's doing really good with the trout bite. Same here over here in the Poconos. Guys are just killing them on the trout. Brown trout and some rainbows. Obviously, the brookies are in a big swing too. Eric Goodstall was out, local trout guru, got into some really nice the brown trout here on the local streams. Here's a 20-inch pluser pulled out of a local stream. How's that for trout fishing in the Pocono creeks? Great work, Eric. Now, also, don't forget the rivers. You know, people don't think of river fishing sometime this year, but Tim Keebler, I touched base with him from Finseeker River Guide Service, and he said the walleye bite is on. It's kind of spotty right now. He says you got to pick your windows for the weather, but there is a bite to be had. If you're brave enough, the weather can be sloppy, it can be cold and messy, but if you want to get some walleye, there is some opportunity on the river, so go check that out. I hope you guys are getting out in the water in this new year. Go out and enjoy it. From Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
If you got the email alert earlier this week, you found out about what happened at the New Jersey Marine Fisheries Council meeting last Thursday. If you didn't get it, here's the quick rundown. One of the things that happened last week is the council was getting ready to take a vote that wasn't on the agenda. There was no public notification. I know it's not a popular fishery, but cobia, every summer, we got guys, especially in Atlantic and Cape May County, Ocean County too, but those cobia come back in. So it has been turned into a target species for a lot of guys, especially after the bass move along on the bunker, and those bunker are left back getting hit by sharks and cobia. But you got a couple of options to look at. And the state of New Jersey is not going to take the vote until March. First option was to match Virginia's regulations, which lower the vessel limit to 2 fish, shortens the season by 30 days, and you still have that 40-inch minimum. You also have a second option. You go with a capping the limit, 1 fish per vessel per person, but you get down to a 37-inch cobia and you don't have any season closure. So if you want to weigh in on that, if you're someplace in New Jersey, you like to chase around those cobia, those big logs in the water when they show up, make sure you chime in, go to thefisherman.com. We also learned last week, of course, a sea bass, summer flounder, fluke, status quo again for yet another year. Status quo is government speak for we only do a 35-hour work week as it is, and because of COVID, we don't want to do anything else. No increase in black sea bass, no increase in fluke, so it doesn't look like we're going to have any changes in the regulations. Sorry for the insult, NOAA Fisheries, but that's the way it is. We do have some discussions, though, that will start taking place at some point about the geographic splits in New Jersey for fluke. Maybe the idea of a slot fish. It came up again on Thursday. They want to move forward, so keep an eye out on thefisherman.com and in your email alerts from the state of New Jersey, because it does seem like they want to start this conversation again. As for striped bass, a lot of folks have been asking about stripers and the circle hook regulations. Well, a lot of states are looking to the ASMFC for a little bit of guidance. For example, what if you're fluke fishing this summer and you've got one of those traditional fluke kale rigs and you've got a live killie, you end up with a 32-inch striper. Well, it's not a circle hook. What do I do with it? And what about the eel skin plugs or the tube and worm? These are supposed to be addressed. There's a big letter from a bunch of charter associations, the recognized charter associations, United Boatmen, Beach Haven Marlin, and Beach Haven Charter Fishing Association sent a letter. So they're pushing the ASMFC, and we found out at the state meeting last Thursday via Zoom that maybe in February, ASMFC will revisit this, give us some better explanation. But again, don't forget, as of 2021, you have to use circle hooks when you are fishing for striped bass using natural baits. There's another issue too that's popped up on social media of late, and that's some bunker kills, the Menhaden kills. Well, this is not the normal one. Just found this out last Thursday. I thought it was just the typical bunker kill based on oxygen deprivation. Well, it's not. Apparently there's something else at work here. Jeff Brust with the Division of Fish and Wildlife says dying bunker, erratic swimming behavior. They've ruled out the oxygen loss. The fish are being affected by some degeneration of multiple organs. So I guess if you see a bunker kill along the Jersey Shore, Delaware, make sure you contact the authorities, because it is something they're looking at. It doesn't affect any other fisheries, is what Jeff said. But again, if you're seeing a bunker kill, notify somebody at the state of New Jersey Division of Fish and Wildlife, because it is something they are taking a look at. As far as me, you got a tip, you got a photo to share, would love to share it with other folks as well. Email me at jhutchinson@thefisherman.com. Speaking of tips, we started that virtual seminar series last week with John Padawana with the snap jigging. Well, that live seminar is archived at thefisherman.com. We hope to have a few more seminars this winter to keep you busy, because right now it doesn't look like we're going to have those big shows. We're not going to have those big seminars attached to the shows. I need to get back to togging, because my friends back here, they don't seem to be catching any, so I got to jump back in it. Hey, we'll catch you again next week. I'm the low hook on the boat, trust me. We'll catch you again next week right here at thefisherman.com.
Steigercraft boats, built by people who fish our waters. Serious anglers choose Steigercraft for their 40 years of boat building experience right here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Visit steigercraft.com for a dealer near you.